My friends, every human being, regardless of where they come from, carries within them a burning question. A question that echoes louder than any ambition, louder than any fear, and more persistent than any challenge. That question is, why? Why? Do we suffer? Why do we strive? Why do we keep going when everything seems to fall apart? This search for why is not just philosophicalized personal, it's the quiet reflection in the middle of the night. It's the scream we hide behind our smiles. It's the invisible thread that guides our choices, our emotions, and our dreams. Every person encounters moments in life when pain feels overwhelming, when circumstances seem unfair, and when questions outweigh answers. In those moments, it's not strength, intelligence, or even support from others that keeps a person going. Its purpose. Understanding your why is what transforms suffering into strength. It is the force that allows people to endure the unimaginable, to rise after falling, and to keep walking even when every part of them wants to give up. Purpose isn't something abstract or far away. It lives deep within, waiting to be uncovered. Often in the middle of difficulty, when someone truly understands why they are doing what they're doing, everything changes. The pain doesn't disappear, but it gains meaning. The struggle doesn't vanish, but it gains context. A person who knows their purpose can survive anyhow because they see beyond the immediate. They see what lies on the other side of the pain. That doesn't mean the path becomes easier. In fact, the challenges might grow, but the perspective changes. Suffering without purpose feels like torture, but suffering with purpose feels like transformation. That difference is everything. Life will always bring tests. Some are sudden and brutal. Others are slow and draining. But when you're anchored in a strong why, you have something to hold on to. That anchor doesn't prevent the storm, but it keeps you from drifting away. It helps you face hardship not as a victim, but as someone in training. Someone being shaped, refined, and prepared for something greater. Knowing your purpose creates focus. It helps you say no to distractions, no to temptations, and no to things that don't align with who you want to become. It becomes a filter that guides your decisions and empowers your actions. Many people think strength comes from being emotionless, or from never falling apart. But real strength comes from clarity. It comes from knowing that what you're going through is not the end, but part of a bigger picture. When people find their why, their identity changes. They're no longer just surviving, they're growing. They're no longer hiding from pains, they're learning from it. The same pressure that would have crushed them in the past becomes a source of energy and direction. Your why gives context to pain. A person lifting weights isn't suffering pointlessly. They're training. A student pulling all-nighters isn't torturing themselves. They're investing in a dream. A parent sacrificing sleep and comfort for their children isn't just tired. They're acting out of deep love and responsibility. The difference in these situations is not the difficulty, it's the meaning attached to it. That's the power of purpose. Sometimes life strips away everything until only one question remains. Why are you doing this? If you have an answer, you'll get back up. If you don't, it's easy to lose direction, to feel numb, or to give up entirely. But even in those moments, the search for purpose can begin. In fact, those are often the moments when it begins. Most powerfully, pain pushes us inward, forces us to question, and invites us to dig deeper. And in that digging, many people find strength they didn't know they had. When a person connects their pain to a purpose, they change their relationship with suffering. They stop seeing it as punishment, and begin seeing it as part of their journey. They stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can this teach me? That mindset shift turns every trial into a training ground, and every setback into a setup for growth. Purpose is more than a goal. It is the foundation that shapes how we view the world, how we respond to challenges, and how we define success. When someone truly discovers their purpose, their life becomes aligned with meaning, and clarity naturally follows. Purpose acts like a compass, pointing them in the right direction, even when the path is uncertain. It gives them a sense of where they're going and why it matters. That direction creates stability, especially in moments when everything else feels chaotic. In a world full of distractions and constant noise, clarity is rare, and purpose is the filter that allows a person to see clearly amidst the blur. When purpose is present, choices become easier. A person no longer has to guess what matters or waste energy chasing empty victories. They know what aligns with their deeper values and what doesn't. They begin to act, speak, and move with intention. Every small decision becomes part of a larger picture, and that bigger picture adds weight and importance to even the simplest tasks. A purposeful person isn't just busy, they're effective. They know the difference between movement and progress, between noise and meaning, and they are less likely to be swayed by temporary pressures. Resilience, too, is born from purpose. It doesn't come from pretending to be strong or ignoring pain. It comes from knowing that what you're doing has value, that the journey matters, and that the outcome is worth the hardship. When someone understands their purpose, they gain endurance. They stop counting how many times they've failed and start focusing on the lesson in each fall. They stop worrying about how far they still have to go and start appreciating how far they've come. This mindset creates inner strength, not the loud, aggressive kind, but the quiet, steady kind that refuses to quit. People who live with purpose also inspire those around them. There is something magnetic about clarity. Others feel it. They can sense when someone knows who they are and what they stand for. It builds trust, and it creates momentum. One purposeful life can influence hundreds, not because of fame or recognition, but because of authenticity and consistency. That kind of clarity is powerful in every setting, at work, in relationships, in personal growth. It leads to deeper connections because it removes confusion. People are drawn to those who live with meaning because it reminds them of what's possible in their own lives. When direction is guided by purpose, even failure becomes useful. Mistakes are no longer seen as the end, but as part of the path. Purpose removes the fear of starting over because it turns every setback into insight. A purposeful person doesn't waste energy on self-doubt. They focus on staying aligned. They stop chasing approval and start living with conviction. They aren't searching for temporary highs. They're building something lasting. That long-term view creates patience. It allows someone to keep working in silence, to trust the process, and to grow without needing constant validation. In a fast-moving world, direction without purpose can lead people to climb the wrong mountain. They achieve things that don't fulfill them, win things that leave them empty, and follow paths that led nowhere meaningful. But when purpose drives direction, even slow progress feels valuable. Even setbacks feel like stepping stones. This kind of direction brings peace because it doesn't rely on circumstances. It's built from the inside out. A person with purpose can walk through uncertainty with confidence, not because they know every detail, but because they know why they're walking in the first place. That knowledge fuels persistence, courage, and consistency. It allows someone to wake up each day with meaning, to handle challenges with grace, and to keep going even when the results haven't shown up yet. In the end, life will always test your strength, challenge your patience, and push you to the edge. But what will carry you through is not luck, talent, or timing. It is purpose. When you know your why, every struggle becomes fuel, every setback becomes a lesson, and every step becomes meaningful. The world doesn't need more people running blindly toward success. It needs more people walking boldly in purpose. So don't just exist, don't just chase. Search for your why, hold on to it with everything you have, and let it lead you to the life you are meant to live. Because when you live with purpose, you don't just change your path, you inspire others to find theirs too.